Now we start in Nigeria, where talks to reach an agreement between Nigeria's federal government and, of course, the National Assembly on grey areas in the 2016 budget are still ongoing. Now, still, it is not yet clear when the bill will be signed into law. The government has, however, approved a monitoring and evaluation mechanism for the successful implementation of the 2016 and future budgets. Nigeria's budget has been held up for months after the president withdrew the original one in January due to what he termed as unrealistic oil prices and other flaws. Muhammadu Buhari hopes that once the budget is signed into law, it will revive the economy, of course, hit by a slump in oil prices. For now, officials are still in talks about how it will be funded. Meanwhile, Nigerians have begun to complain.
It sounds so absurd because if by April the budget has not been passed, then I don't know when it's going to be passed, and I don't know when the ministers will start executing what they actually had in budget. So if it has not been passed now, well, I don't know. I don't know when it's going to be passed, and I fear for the worst.
Everything in this country is like it's always been delayed. We talk about the PIB, it's been delayed. We are talking about the budget which is a very simple thing. In Nigeria, we make things that are so small to become so big in a very negative way. Why will common Lagos to Calabar Railroad will become an issue? Now the Senate is not doing anything. The House of Reps member, they want to pick it up and look like nothing is going on. For me, I think nothing is happening for now.
It's very quite unfortunate. Whatever the case may be, I think they're supposed to come together with only one interest, for the good of the nation and for the good of the common man. It's very, very unfortunate. Both the Senate, both the House of Representatives and the Senate, including the executive, should realize one thing. When two elephants fight, it's only the grass suffers. So Nigerians remain the grass as it is now. Most Nigerians who are not able to have a say, or ordinary Nigerians, so to say, who is finding it very difficult to even go about their normal life. It's very quite unfortunate.
Of course, Deji Badmus now joins us in Lagos to give an update on, of course, Nigeria's 2016 budget. Deji, welcome to the show. Now, we expected a decision yesterday on the 2016 budget, but it seems nothing has been decided yet. What then came out of yesterday's Federal Executive Council meeting?
Well, quite a lot came out of that meeting. Of course, there were discussions on the causes, for instance, of the ongoing fuel scarcity in the country. The Minister of State now for Petroleum explaining why we have the scarcity, and also explaining that the scarcity will disappear by May. And of course, Nigeria has been going through, facing severe power shortages, and the Minister of Power also explaining why we have it. But in terms of the budget now, which of course is very important, and that's the area everybody has been expecting to hear something from the government, the Minister for National Budget and Planning simply said the government was still in talks with Parliament, that talks are still going on. He did not elaborate on that. He basically just said talks are still going on and that the country would have a budget very soon. So maybe sometime next week would have the budget signed, but we know that the presidency and the Parliament, are still talking.
Now, Deji, it seems like one of the main issues or causes of contention is how the budget will be funded. Now, where does the main dispute lie right now? And of course, when do lawmakers plan to meet with the president to discuss these areas of concern?
Well, we expect the lawmakers to meet with the president. I'm talking about the leadership of the lawmakers now to meet with the president. If that meeting has actually not started, we expect them to meet with the president maybe before the week runs out, and that by next week we'll have a budget. But Uche, look, it goes beyond the issue of funding. I don't think the funding of the budget is the big issue. The big issue is that look, the executive says some items it actually put in the budget were, you know, unilaterally removed now by the lawmakers. And even the lawmakers themselves are divided, because you have lawmakers in the south of the country saying, look, there are some items that they all agreed should be in the budget, and that those items, they're about projects in the south of the country, the Lagos-Calabar Rail, for instance, rail project, for instance, and that, you know, that project was removed. So it's really about those items that should be in the budget that the executive says it put in the budget, and that the lawmakers have actually removed. So what we understand they're trying to do now is just to find a common ground. Some lawmakers have said the president should simply submit a supplementary budget, but some others are saying, look, the lawmakers should just return those items back in the budget and then give to the president to sign. So we just have to wait and see how it plays out. But I think there will be a meeting very soon, and maybe by next week we'll have a budget, Uche.
Well, Deji, I mean, looking at what came out of yesterday's Executive Council meeting, they seem to have set a timetable for delivery for the 2017 budget. They also approved a mechanism to ensure that the 2016 and future budgets deliver. Now, how do they plan to implement this?
Well, it's very difficult to tell, because the Minister for National Budget and Planning now did not elaborate again. He simply said that the executive plans to submit the 2017 budget to the Parliament this year, maybe sometime in September this year. But I guess it's very possible, because it's a target it says it wants to meet, that the executive wants to avoid, you know, what is actually happening with the 2016 budget. So that we'll have lawmakers now work on the 2017 budget this year. Now, in terms of how the executive intends to go about that, he did not elaborate, but I think it is possible, because ministers now have a hang of their job. They have a hang of how the budget should be prepared and all of that. Part of the reason why, of course, as you know, we have this impasse is that the 2016 budget was hurriedly prepared, and so ministers did not really have the time to go through their budgets properly. And you remember, at some point, the budget was said to be missing, and at some point, some items just simply disappeared from the budget. Of course, you also know about the talk of padding of the budget. So now that ministers are fully aware of their responsibilities, they have a hang-on now on, you know, of their job. I think it would be possible to have that budget in Parliament by the end of this year, and probably we have a passage before the beginning of next year.
Well, thank you so much, Deji, for those updates. Of course, he's joining us in Lagos.